14. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will again and receive you unto myself. That's where there may be also. And whither I go, ye know, and the way ye know.
It's about time, man, because I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to get the kingdom. I'm ready to live. I'm ready to breathe fresh. I'm ready to have beautiful, pure women, okay? Not no strawberry hollows on this side. I'm ready to have children, man, you can vibe with, okay? Be around brothers. Be around the Lord himself, okay? I'm ready to go and visit places in the galaxy that we didn't know exist, all right? I'm ready to walk on sandy beaches, man, and explore the ocean floors. I'm ready to fly, okay? I'm ready to eat real food, okay? I'm ready to drive a chariot, man. All right, I'm ready to minister to the Lord and to be ministered to, man. Okay, I'm ready to worship Yahweh Shai in its full entirety. Okay, I'm ready for it. We're ready, man. I'm ready to see angels and greet angels.
But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit. But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit.
Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shai.
People, Mars guys. How do they have the fuss and all this?
The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. And if children, then heirs of God, and joint heirs with God. If so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creature waited for the manifestation of the sons of God. For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who hath subjected the same, in hope, because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now. And not only they, but ourselves also, which have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves groan within ourselves, waiting for the adoption to it, the redemption of our body. I will declare the decree. The Lord hath said unto me, Thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces, like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings. Be instructed, ye judges of the earth.
Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shai.
Paris get it. Mazda is Saturday. I'm fussing on this.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to our younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakakwadash, pushing to get up out of there. Shalom to the hopeful lake out there, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Shah. All right, now what I want to get into with this morning news and prophecy, we'll get into, we're seeing the power shift in the world, and the beautiful thing about it, you have these nations, as America is falling, it's creating a power vacuum. Okay, and you're seeing all these different factions, these other nations, all right, these militant groups getting activated, to begin to fill this power vacuum, because the American empire, all right, spread throughout the world, and it had great influence, in different parts, of the world, especially in the region, where a lot of the world's energy comes from, over here, what they call the Middle East, all right, the Persian Gulf, okay. The place where a lot of energy is at. Okay, also the place where these small hats have, their agenda, with this Greater Israel project. So what we're seeing as the American, all right, empire, is declining, and being dismantled. It's creating a power vacuum, and these nations are posturing themselves to fill it. But we know ultimately the one that's going to fill the power vacuum is going to be Yahweh Shah. Okay, so let's get a few precepts, and then I got a few videos to play going into, a few moves that's being made, because as we follow, these, these events, dealing with, the war, all right, the MOTB, the technocracy, well, it's all leading to Yahweh Shah coming to fill all the power vacuums that's going to be created at the end of this war. Okay, so when you go here, let's go to the book of go to the book of Sirach, chapter 10, verse 1 in the GNT. It says, a wise ruler will educate his people, and his government, the government of Yahweh Shah. This is the opposite of the current government we see now. It says all the officials and all the citizens will be like the ruler. Okay, and you look at the planet Earth under Esau. That's why the earth is so grimy. The earth is so treacherous. From the leaders of these other nations to people that we run across in our day to day, where they have to move in a certain way to survive. Okay, under the rulership of Esau, you got to be grimy to a degree. You got to be cutthroat. You got to be, treacherous. Okay, to deal with Esau and make moves and try to make deals with this devil, man, you got to be treacherous like him. Okay, the more you got to deal with Esau, the more treacherous and grimy you got to be, man. Okay, and these nations, what we're seeing is these nations are starting to, all right, use, the tactics of Esau with treachery against him, man. Okay, and they're seeing, Esau's power is waning. Okay, so the nations that he had, has had in subjection are now beginning to rise up, man. Okay, it says an uneducated king will ruin his people, but a government will grow strong if his rulers are wise, man. So Esau, this uneducated king that ruins his people, that ruins the people that he's ruling over, man. Okay, and he's done so much wickedness around the earth. It's all coming back to bite him at once. Okay, and see, Esau can't work treachery to get out this situation. See, Esau is used to putting plays together to get out, jams and situations. He used to doing more treachery to cover up old treachery that backfires on him. Okay, but it's to the point that what he's out of, he's out of moves. You see, he done created so much chaos in the world that he's out of moves to the point that he can't work himself out of all this chaos he's created, man. And the Lord done soup these nations up. Okay, for the sake of prophecy, man, to fulfill prophecy, man, turn this place to a desert. Okay, and removing Esau from power. You see, and then Yahweh Shai, I say he's going to be the one that's going to fill this power vacuum left by Esau, man. And he's going to subdue these heathens. All right, it said the Lord sees to the government of the world and brings the right person to power at the right time. See, the Lord is orchestrating this thing to bring Yahweh Shai to power at the perfect time. One thing about the Most High, his timing is, all right, magnificent, man. Okay, perfecto. You see? So the Lord is setting the stage to bring Yahweh Shai, okay, to power at the right time. Okay, as these other nations have this ambition, Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, a lot of these nations in the East, in their mind, okay, they think they're going to fill this power vacuum left by America. Okay, because I say America has a big footprint in the earth, and these nations think that they're going to fill, their footprint with what you call a multilateral, okay, or multipolar, which means that there's multiple superpowers. Okay, because right now what we're seeing is America fighting to be, all right, because they all want to go into this new system. But as we see this thing play out, what we're seeing is, these Eastern nations, okay, they want a multipolar world. Okay, they want a multipolar new world order. All right, but America, they want a new world order, but they still want to be American led. Okay, so we're seeing the clash. All right, but what's going to happen is they're going to start to cancel each other out in this war. You see, and eventually, all right, this alliance of nations from the east is going to take out Babylon, man. Okay, now the elites, how they play it, they play both sides. They're pushing, this American system. Okay, but as they see how the war is going, the elites switch sides. All right, but guess what? It don't matter that they're going to switch sides, because they just want a new world order. Okay, and these nations are fighting, for it all. Okay, for what system is going to run it. You see, because at least they're going to finance the winner no matter what. Okay, but it's going to be a short-lived, okay, victory for Russia and its allies, because Yahweh Shai is going to come on the scene. Okay, so it don't matter that the elites bet on both sides. Yahweh Shai finna destroy both sides, man. Okay, and he's going to be the king that comes to power at the right time. So it's beautiful to see how the Lord, is playing it out. Okay. This is verse 8. It says, injustice, arrogance, and wealth cause nations to fall from power. Okay. And this is what we're seeing with Esau, man. All right. And these other nations, think that they're going to, like I said, they're going to fill that void. Nah, man. Okay. All of them going to fall because they're all interconnected. You see, they're all interconnected with this system. All right. It was the petrodollar system, but now it's a digital system that has these nations, all right, connected. Okay. So when America falls, this whole thing is going to collapse, man. Okay. And Yahweh Shai said he's coming to finalize this war. Okay. It said injustice, arrogance, and wealth causes nations to fall from power, and others then rise to take their place. Okay, and who's going to be those others? Yahweh Shai and the first fruits. That's going to be the new government. Okay, that's going to run the planet Earth, man. Okay, that's going to be the next global superpower, Yahweh Shai and the elect of Israel, man. You know, beginning with Yahweh Shai and the first fruits at the head, okay, of the government. The righteous government is getting ready to be established. Okay, so when you go, in fact, let's jump down and read a little more. This is let's jump down. Yeah, and it's all about replacing, okay, rulers, man. You see, the Bible is a book about rulership. You know, that's why when you really get into the Bible, you know, the world starts to make more sense. You know, especially when you get into geopolitics. Okay, wars and skirmishes, and you know, where this Bible explains the madness that we see happening, man. Okay, because it's all everyone's making a move from power. It's a real life Game of Thrones. You know, you brothers and sisters that's into the Game of Thrones. Well, this is a real life Game of Thrones, man. Okay, and the ultimate throne is the throne of David that's going to be established, man. Okay, that's going to be the throne that rules over the realms of the earth at the return of Yahweh Shai. This is verse 14 in the GNT. It said, the Lord has overthrown kings and put humbler people in their place, man. And this humbler people is going to be the elect of Israel. And that's why this grace period, this captivity, was meant to humble us down. You know, when you look at the captivity and the intentions of the Most High for, all right, his people in this captivity, for the elect in this captivity, was for us to humble down and appreciate righteousness, man. You know, come to appreciation of righteousness, man, and also appreciate, being chosen, not for the sake, of the perks that come with it, but the responsibility that comes with rulership, because we were chosen to rule. You see Jake running around and talk about, oh, we the chosen, we this and that, we got melanin, nigga, we can jump from the free throw line. No, it's bigger than that. Okay, we were chosen to rule the earth in righteousness, man. So this captivity has made us embrace humility and the responsibility that comes with being the chosen, and that's to rule the earth in righteousness, man. You know, to never let the earth get in this predicament again, man. Okay, so that's why as we learn and mature, the Lord is beginning to wrap this thing up, man. Okay, this is back in Sirach 10 and 15 in the GNT. It said the Lord has pulled up nations by the roots and established humbler ones in their place. Okay, and it's the nation of Israel, the elect of Israel. Okay, the Lord has overthrown empires and completely devastated their lands, and this is America, man. America is going to be completely devastated, and American empire, which goes beyond the borders of America. Okay, that the authority is going to be, okay, destroyed, as this land is going to be destroyed, man. Okay, so the elites, the authority that they've been able to have over, the earth, through this American system, or the petrodollar, and the American military, well, that's going to be destroyed. Okay, and if they jump ship to, all right, the kings of the east, that's going to be destroyed too. Now those land masses of Russia and China are going to be destroyed. All right, they're not going to be made into deserts like America. Okay, but the authority, all right, of these nations are going to be stripped from them by Yahweh Shai. Okay, their militaries are going to be destroyed. Okay, because America's being destroyed, Yahweh Shai is also going to be destroying what? The militaries of the earth, man. This is going to be a swift, okay, overthrow. Okay, Yahweh Shai is going to come in and get a lot of work done in a short amount of time. Okay, all this back and forth, and this the MOU, this peace agreement, and this and that, and let's talk, and then okay, let's fight. Nah, Yahweh Shai is coming to stop playing around, man. Okay, it's the end of madness, man. You see, the end is power struggle. Okay, he's just gonna come and take all the power from all these heathens, man. You see, It said he destroyed some so completely that they are not even remembered anymore. God damn. You know, and that's going to ultimately be America, man, in the empire of Esau. You know, because it's going to be a time, because these devils, remember, they're going to be eradicated out the earth after 1,000 years. You know, and that's a lesson within itself. You know, you go into Job 18. Okay. Then what it say? Amalek shall be blotted out from under the heavens, man. You know, because it's Amalek that's at the forefront of this Edomite empire that runs the earth, man. Okay. So let's go from there. I want to get, all right, what it means, or the power vacuum. Let's go into what a power vacuum is. Okay. So you go into a power vacuum. It says a power vacuum is a situation that happens when a leader or government loses power, leaves, or falls apart, and no one new takes the place. It leaves an empty space with no clear rulers or strong authority. Okay, and America's their empire just falling apart. Okay, and like I said, America has a huge footprint in the planet Earth. You know, of their authority. You see, Babylon the Great. You see, and these nations are looking at this, and they're beginning to posture themselves to, okay, fulfill this vacuum that's being created. Okay, it says a country's government is over. It says causes of a power vacuum. It says a country's government is overthrown or collapses during war or revolution. I'm gonna go here. It says effects, because this is what we're seeing with a lot of these conflicts beginning to flare up all throughout the earth, man. Okay, we're seeing the effects of a power vacuum. Okay, because players, these different players, all right, these different nations, they got ambition to establish themselves and, you know, posture themselves in a position of power. They're not waiting to the complete collapse, man. They're starting to, because there's a vacuum being created as America is collapsing. You see, so what we're seeing when you go into effects of a power vacuum, it says chaos and fighting. It said different smaller groups often start fighting each other to grab control. Okay, and that's why you see a lot of these militant groups getting active, you know, because they're like, well, let's see, Iran, the new power in the region, you know, so you're going to see these militant groups, you know, begin to ally themselves with Iran. Like, shit, we want part of this new, okay, power structure. You see, it says, and new, sometimes harsher leaders or groups step in quickly to take charge. Yeah, because what America did when they killed, all right, the supreme leader, they was hoping to create a vacuum that will create chaos, okay, within Iran, you know, and in the chaos they will be able to come and topple the government, you see, and set up a puppet leader, you see. But what they got was a new harsher leader, all right, with Mashtaba, all right, Khomeini. You know, Mashtaba Khomeini, he's you know, he's more harsh than his father. Okay, so that backfired, man. You see. So it says, and that's just pretty much the sum of it. Okay, but ultimately, as we went through in scripture, Yahweh Shai is going to come fulfill that power vacuum. Okay, and you get some more precepts, you know, later on to get into that. So let's go here. Let's see, because it's getting bad for America over there. Now I meant to play this yesterday, all right, to show that let me see. So we know that they're saying that Iran is able to track, you know, these Americans, all right, these American soldiers' cell phones. You know, they hacked Apple, all right, cell phones, okay, and they're able to track American cell phones. Now, I'm gonna play this because this lets you know they finna do a lot of media blackout about what's going on in their war, okay. But let's play this.
Has Mojtaba Khamenei's growing pressure forced a shaken Trump administration into desperate new wartime measures? Could U.S. troops soon be ordered to surrender their personal cell phones as the Iran conflict intensifies? Is Iran turning American soldiers' own phones into a powerful tool to hunt down U.S. military bases? Are Trump's forces across the Middle East now preparing for an unprecedented digital blackout? No phones. No signals. No mistakes. The U.S. is now bracing what officially could become Iran's newest digital hunt. According to CENTCOM, Iran may be monitoring publicly available videos and online content to identify American military locations and troop activity across the Middle East. The commander of U.S. Central Command warned that cell phone footage captured by service unintentionally provide Iran with valuable targeting information. Admiral Brad Cooper said Iranian forces can review photos, videos, and online reactions posted by American troops to better understand the outcome of their attacks. Cooper cautioned that information freely available online could ultimately endanger both American service members and civilians living near U.S. military facilities. Admiral Brad Cooper said, and I quote, "Iran is benefiting from being able to see the success or failure of its strikes in near real time by searching news reports or online posts by journalists referencing reactions, photos, and footage from the cell phones of our troops."
Yeah, so they're talking about journalists, that's posting footage, okay, of these Iranian strikes, the damage that's being done, okay, because see, in the state of Israel, okay, those small hats, see, you go to prison if you post anything about the war. If they catch you taking footage or videos about the war, you go to prison over there with the small hats. See, the small hats have a stricter government than over here in America, okay, and that's why with this NDAA agreement, which pretty much gives the small hats authority over certain parts of American government and especially the military, you're gonna start seeing some of those tactics over here in America, man. Posting, footage of the war, damage done, because they're saying, well, look, y'all giving Iran, accurate information, and they're getting ready to do a media blackout. They don't want to see the world. All right, they don't want the world to see them catching this L, man. Okay, because it's destroying, all right, America's military reputation, man, and that's what these nations is looking at. These nations are seeing this power vacuum being created, man. Okay, and that's why scriptures say a good name is better than choice gold. If a brother can post, they can find it about having a good name. And American name, all right, has plummeted. Their reputation that it had has plummeted in the last. It was already on the decline, but since February 28th, it's done plummeted. It's done accelerated, man. Okay, so they're trying to control this narrative, man. You see, and that's how you know it ain't going good. All right, because I remember that was during Desert Storm, not Desert Storm, the Iraq War. No, there was Desert Storm they showed us. They showed us Desert Storm in school. You see, I don't know if they did that everywhere, but I know they showed us Desert Storm, how quick America, they were showing us the tape, like O-Dog was showing the tape, or Minister Society, they were showing us the tape of what America was doing over there in Desert Storm, and how they was over there just, devastating Iraq, you see, but now they don't want to show no footage because it can't be going so good, man. But I always remember that. I think I was in like 4th grade. It was years after Desert Storm. All right, because I was, I was a toddler, during Desert Storm. But it was years after. But they showed us a tape at school, man. They showed us footage of the airstrikes, So now they want to stop all this footage from going out. So it must not be going bad, man. You see? I mean, it must not be going good for them. Okay. So let's play a little more of this.
Direct, unavoidable cost of this open-source intelligence could be measured in the lives of American service members and civilian residents in targeted Gulf countries. Unquote. According to Reuters, some American troops deployed across the Gulf region could soon be required to hand over their personal mobile phones. Sources say personnel stationed in Jordan have already been informed that restrictions on personal electronic devices may soon be implemented. Officials familiar with the discussions say any restrictions would be introduced solely to strengthen operational security during the ongoing conflict. CENTCOM stressed that Admiral Cooper's memo served as a broad reminder urging troops to remain vigilant about operational security. The U.S. military has not officially confirmed reports suggesting a region-wide order requiring troops to surrender personal phones. The reported measures come as Washington attempts to reduce information leaks, while military tensions with Iran continue to escalate. A video recorded by an American service member showed troops rushing toward bunkers during Iran's missile attack on a U.S. base in Jordan. According to Admiral Cooper, the footage was reportedly recorded using Meta smart glasses equipped with an integrated camera. The video captured American personnel taking shelter inside a bunker moments after the missile attack began. Cooper warned that videos like these may provide Iran with valuable information that could improve the planning of future attacks. The latest warning comes shortly after the United States launched retaliatory strikes following Iran's reported surprise missile attack on July 28.
I built this website in 5 minutes with Wix Harmony. So I came across this image recently and thought to myself, what if I built an entire brand around it?
Yeah, man. So you got that happening. All right. And let me see. Yeah, the brother got there. Proverbs 22:1, 144, almost home. It says a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. So America got this wealth, but guess what? Its reputation is taking a hit. You know, this war has devastated the American, all right, military reputation, man. Okay, it says in love and favor rather than silver and gold. So yeah, they got all this money, $1 trillion military. Okay, the nations don't care about that trillion. See, there was a time when the nation like, damn, these niggas got $1 trillion military budget. You had to take that into consideration. Okay, but now as they seeing it against, you know, somebody they can strike back, it's like, oh, these niggas ain't what we thought. You know, we can try these niggas, man. Okay, so we're seeing the name, the reputation of America, all right, take a major hit, you know, in this back and forth with Iran. All right, and this is what the Lord wants, because these nations are being roused up. The Lord is awakening the mighty man. Joel 3:9, the Lord is awakening the mighty man, okay, to do what they need to do. Okay, and they'll say these nations are going to have a very short-lived, these nations of the east are going to have a short-lived victory over Babylon, because Yahweh Shai gonna hit the scene, man. Okay, and wreck everything. So let's go from there. What else I had? I got a few more. Let's see. Oh yeah, let's look at this guy. All right, and Trump. All right, third generation coward. Okay, they just collapsing, man. And see, we'll have to understand, like when empires collapse, man, people start jumping ship. Okay, Trump and them just out there, man. They went and underperformed. Okay, and now they just out there, man. You see, because like I say, both systems are fighting. Both sides are fighting for the same system, the New World Order. Okay, you got let's say a multipolar system they want to do. In America, they went at this thing from, you know, a unipolar. Okay, with these nations still, you know, subjugated to the system of American empire under this New World Order, man. Okay, but these other nations like, nah, we not doing that no more. You whole ass niggas don't do right. You know, when you're the only superpower. Okay, that's why, you know, America was setting up for what you call the stable coin, which was the digital currency, but it was going to be, you know, it's going to be implemented, okay, through the petrodollar. you know, when you get into the trenches of all that. But at the end of the day, these niggas finna fight. All right, Esau gonna have to, you know, the elites gonna have to mandate this thing and go ahead get this thing to the next phase. And the war gonna go to the next phase, and then Yahweh Shai gonna hit the scene, and we out this bitch. Okay, you know, so you know, not to go into the details of all that, you know, but let's play this. All right.
Successfully targeted an F-35 Firejet at the Muwafiq Sultan. We can confirm that Iran successfully targeted an F-35 Firejet at the Muwafiq Salti Air Base in Jordan. This is the same air base where 3 service members were killed in the past week and a half. We have the satellite image right here showing that the F-35 was destroyed. We can see where it was before. We can see after the Iranian strikes. Now, the IRGC earlier claimed it struck an F-35, and CENTCOM has denied it and claimed it hasn't taken place, but we can literally see that the F-35s that were there, that at least one F-35 was destroyed, possibly more F-35s were destroyed. We'll get to that also in a moment. So while we were learning that, and while CENTCOM was covering that up, Donald Trump was holding a press conference at the White House. He was having a press conference about attacking immigrants as truck drivers, and it was saying that, well, veterans are better than immigrants. Why can't you have immigrants and veterans? Why do you?
Another thing too, he getting ready to go with the tribes, you know, Jacob Trouble, because Lord will, in the morning I got a lesson, you know, it's going to go into the roster for Jacob Trouble, because you look at, you know, Trump, Pete Hegseth, you know, Marco Rubio, all right, and this guy Stephen Miller was there at the forefront, all right, of this Trump cabinet. Them men not built to win no war overseas. Okay, they absolutely trash. But when it comes to Jacob Trouble, all right, they're the perfect roster. All right, so Trump bringing up immigrants because they ain't getting no ass across their water. Okay, it only get worse over there. Okay, but eventually they're gonna turn, all right, inwardly and go hard on U.S. citizens, man. Okay, to get them caught up, because at the end of the day, they got to get the American society caught up, you know, to bend the knee to this new world order. Okay, because the fight over there is they're through. Okay, it's only gonna get worse. You see, now like I say, they just getting started over there. America catching hell, because this is just level 1. You see, it's just level 1. Iran can go harder, and plus you still got Russia and China not directly involved yet. It's gonna be, you know, like I said, this level 1. Okay, so eventually they're gonna turn inwardly, man, and go hard on American citizens, and that's where you're gonna see Jacob's trouble, because you know he want to get off on Jake. So Trump is talking about immigrants. Okay, if they're losing, okay, there's war across the water. He's talking about immigrants, which he's talking about Jake, man. Okay.
Event in between Donald Trump getting distracted about the size of trucks near him. You know, we learned this information. Then Donald Trump was asked a very basic question. So what's going on with Iran, man? How long do you expect this to last? What is happening? And as soon as he was asked these questions, he ran away. Let me show you what happened. Let's play it.
Very much. Bye. Thank you.
Now, some of the footage that's
got out of there. All right, they asked him about Iran to a point he don't got nothing to say, because he's not a military man. Okay, this man's a real estate con artist. Okay, and a reality TV, okay, personality, man. Okay, because Nero, he wasn't a military. When you go to Nero, he wasn't a military man. Okay, he was more into the arts and trying to play the lyre and be a poet. Okay. So Trump, he can't get, it's to the point he ain't got no more responses, man. Okay. You see? That's why Scott really going crazy, man. Okay. Scott mad as hell, man. Is he know he know the roster they got going into this war, man. It's over, man.
Coming in now as he was running away from that press conference. I'll get to more of that, though, in a moment. We now have received close-up footage of that drone attack at the Damietta in Egypt, which Iran signaled was a further warning shot to the Trump regime that any more escalation by Donald Trump would be met by escalation from Iran, even beyond the Strait of Hormuz, the Bab el-Mandab Strait. They said, look, we'll do it in Egypt if you want us to. There's extensive damage, far more than was being reported at this Egypt port. Areas in the port were hit. 2 LNG, liquefied natural gas tankers, were hit. And the true extent is still being covered up, but massive damage being done there. Let me show you the close-up footage that we're now getting in. Let's play it.
البلد كله اتدمر.
Hey, I'm Daniel, founder of Ridge. And every year we do something kind of crazy. This year, we're giving away an Esterado, a Hennessy Velociraptor, a Ford Bronco, or $100,000 cash.
It just show you how bold, Iran is getting. They hitting targets in Egypt, which that's 1,204 miles away. I just looked there, it's 1,204 miles away from Tehran. Okay, but that's how bold they getting. America, they just picking what they want to hit today. They waking up, what we gonna hit today? That's American. That's American asset. Give a damn where it's at in Egypt, because what Egypt gonna do about it? Nothing. Okay. You see, that's how bold these nations in the East are getting with the American empire, man. They see the nigga ain't got it. Okay, they see the desperation, man. All right, so you got Iran hitting targets in Egypt, man. Okay, so wherever American asset at in that region, okay, you got Ukraine. They just copped a plea, with Iran. They like, look, we thought that was a Russian boat, because they see that they done did the math. Like, man, they can reach Kyiv. Iran can reach Kyiv. Iran had this is speculation, like wars and rumors of wars. Just listening and combing through these things. But yeah, there was rumors that Iran had a strike package for Ukraine. They finna send some to Kyiv. Okay. Hey, nigga copped the plea. That's the word, around the street, But who knows? But we know one thing, all right, that Iran ain't been bullshitting, okay? And they know. And one thing that they trying to figure out, like, these niggas is crazy accurate, and they hitting precise. I would say 1,204 miles to hit a boat 1,204 miles from where you at. Okay, that's like going outside and throwing a BB, okay, a little BB, and hitting a specific blade of grass, man. You see, but that's the Lord got them souped up, because they got an assignment, man. Okay, so let's play a little more.
In addition to the Muwafiq Salty base in Jordan, in addition to the Ali Al Salam air base in Kuwait as well, which Iran struck. Iran's army says it struck the U.S. Sheikh Issa air base in Bahrain with attack drones targeting power generators, navigation systems, and support buildings. It claims the strikes caused significant damage. And again, the satellite imagery that we have seems to suggest that that is true. This is all being covered up from CENTCOM. Now, this also is taking place as Saudi Arabia just launched multiple strikes on Sana'a, the capital of Yemen. And the Houthis have said that they will now retaliate more. The Houthis previously struck 3 refineries in Saudi Arabia, and we expect them to very shortly be striking more refineries in Saudi Arabia. It is believed that Saudi Arabia may be planning a ground invasion of Western Yemen, which is controlled by the Houthis. It is also believed that Donald Trump may be following the advice of that horrible CENTCOM Admiral Brad Cooper, and doing a further massive escalation, although whenever Donald Trump says he's going to do that, Iran is able to deliver these blows to the U.S. bases, and Trump backs out. Trump is the worst decision maker imaginable, so we'll see what he does. Show you
trash. All right. So you got I'll put this in the link. You go into a few more things, but so you got Yemen and the Saudis, going full scale. Okay. Yeah, man, and these things and these things are going to play a part, okay, on the global supply chain. With the Red Sea, these ports being hit, so these things are going to have a ripple effect as well. All right, so let's go from there, because it's another one I want to go into. Hold on, that might have been the one. I need to let them play some more, because I think he's the one that goes into accurate. I'm gonna let this play a little more. I think he's the one that's gonna go into this accuracy. Sometimes I get them mixed up. So let's play this a little more.
the B-roll again. You can see the second impact confirmed in the Muwafiq Salti Air Base, likely another fighter jet of the F-35 type, as claimed by the IRGC, was destroyed. We know there's F-35s there, and you can see the before and after footage. We believe, again, this is being covered up by the Trump regime. Yes, as this one open source intelligence account says, Iran's intelligence on the Jordan Muwafiq Salti Air Base has been scarily precise lately. July 2nd, new aircraft maintenance hangars built. July 9th, Iran destroys them. July 17th and 19th, Iran hits 2 aircraft hangars. July 30th, this morning, maintenance hangars freshly rebuilt, an aircraft heading in. Iran destroys it with pinpoint accuracy. Are they getting this real-time satellite imagery from China, from Russia? But here's what CENTCOM published. Over the past few hours,
you build here it is, you build, okay, an aircraft hangar on July 2nd on the 9th, over with, okay? Everything you try to build, everything you try to rebuild, over with. They hitting everything with crazy accuracy, man, okay? And that's what got a lot of these nations on notice, is how accurate, like, nigga. And then ain't nothing stopping, ain't no missile defense stopping it, okay? If you listen to America, we stopped everything, okay? And they'll show you, all right, that they not stopping. Let's play this, because they're even now having to get help from NATO to try to do air defense, man. Which eventually, all right, hey, NATO gonna get drugged in this thing, man. So let's go here to show you, okay? Because if they was intercepting everything, why do they need, okay, help? Because they've been pummeling Jordan, because Jordan is where when this military equipment comes from, okay, across the water over here to this region, a lot of it is stationed in Jordan. So they're hitting the supply chain at the source. Okay, they're hitting the logistics. Okay, America's ability to even bring military hardware over there, man. Iran is evicting America out the Middle East, man. Okay, that's what's happening in real time as we speak. You see, so let's play this.
European warplanes have reportedly joined U.S. forces in the Middle East, Iranian media claimed. State-affiliated Fars news agency reported that several German and French warplanes are headed towards Jordan.
And they showed it, and that's these. I'm glad they showed this. So that's the fighter jet, the smaller jet behind it, but then you got these big planes, All right, these are these refueling, all right, jets, all right, these refueler tankers, okay, that refuel these planes, mid-flight, because these fighter jets can only go so far before they have to get refueled. And coming from Jordan, they have to go quite a way before they get to the point to where they can shoot off into Iran, and then they have to turn back and get refueled again. You see, and what you had in Iraq, all right, like I said, you had those those pro-Iranian military forces in Iraq, all right, with them Chinese man pads, and they was taking these refueler tankers down. Cause see the fighter jet and the tanker are real vulnerable at this point. Okay, and then they can be easily locked onto. Okay, so America's catching hell trying to wage this war, man. Okay, so let's play this.
Jordan, as Iran pounds the Arab country hosting American forces. Fars cited air navigation data and claimed that after the United States failed to intercept missiles, German and French military aircraft came to Washington's aid, heading toward U.S. bases in Jordan to intercept the missiles. Jordan has been attacked twice since yesterday, marking the end of a temporary pause in the fighting between Iran and the United States. Meanwhile, Jordan's armed forces say they have intercepted and destroyed 5 Iranian missiles that entered Jordanian airspace. Officials say there have been no casualties, but the military remains on its highest level of alert. Just one day earlier, the country also confirmed shooting down 5 missiles launched from Iran, highlighting how frequently Jordan's airspace is now being caught in the middle of this conflict. Iran is also signaling that its response is far from over. Iran's Fars news agency quoted the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, as saying, "With the help of God Almighty, the aggressor will be punished today." The statement came just hours after the United States announced it had carried out what it described as powerful overnight strikes against Iran. According to reports, explosions were heard in Kesh, Kish, Bandar Abbas, Abadan, and Bushehr, indicating that the U.S. operation targeted multiple locations across southern Iran. The IRGC's warning suggests Tehran is preparing for another round of retaliation, raising concerns that the conflict could escalate even further in the coming hours. As strikes and counterstrikes between U.S. and Iranian forces continue, regional countries like Jordan are now repeatedly intercepting missiles. European militaries appear to be increasing their involvement. Kuwait has suffered a fatal strike, and tensions around one of the world's most important maritime choke points continue to rise. The coming hours could prove critical in determining whether this remains a regional confrontation or expands even further.
So yeah, you have, France and Germany, okay, fighter jets happen to be dispatched to Jordan to try to help intercept, okay, these Iranian missiles, man. And all it's going to do is draw Germany and France into this war. Okay. It's the only thing that's going to do, man. All right. So it lets you know that all this talk about, oh, we intercepted everything. Nah, man. You seeing more nations are have to get involved, man. This is how world wars start. Okay. So let's go from there. I got and then what's happening in Jordan. Let's see how to find this. Going back to their bad name. So this is what you got. All right, because like I say, it's Jordan. Okay. They've been hitting Jordan for like 3-4 days straight. Okay, let's play this.
A rare political revolt is unfolding in Jordan. Hundreds of prominent political leaders, retired military officers, academics, lawyers, tribal chiefs, and public figures have signed an open letter demanding American troops out of Jordan. The letter says Jordan should not be dragged into a war that is not its own. According to the signatories, the presence of nearly 4,000 U.S. troops exposes the country to unnecessary security, political, and economic risks, while offering no real national benefit. This is no ordinary petition. Public criticism of Jordan's security ties with Washington is extremely rare. Strict cybercrime laws and repeated crackdowns have made open dissent risky. Yet many of those who signed the letter openly acknowledged they could face consequences, but insisted the issue was too important to stay silent. So why is this debate happening now? The answer lies in the rapidly escalating conflict between the United States, Israel, and Iran. Over recent months, Iran has repeatedly targeted American military assets inside Jordan using missiles and drones. Bases, including Muwafiq Salti Air Base, have come under attack. Some strikes have resulted in American casualties, while others triggered air raid sirens and forced Jordanian air defenses to intercept incoming projectiles. For many Jordanians, these attacks have changed the equation. They argue that hosting U.S. forces has transformed Jordan from a relatively stable country into a potential frontline state. The concerns go beyond security. Tourism, a major contributor to Jordan's economy, has already suffered because of growing regional instability.
Yeah, and now, you don't worry like that. You know, Jordan trying to, cop a plea. No, and see, it's the Lord doing, and you nations got to get involved, okay? Because even the land of Jordan, that's a part of the land promised to us, man. Okay, and the Lord is going to clear you heathens out their land, man, out their region. Because the little piece of the little sliver of the state of Israel, that's a small little part of the land that's promised to us, man. Okay, but the whole area of Jordan, that's our land as well. Okay, so now, man, y'all getting evicted. Okay, you're getting evicted, my boy. All right, and you've been hosting these American troops. You've been letting America stage all this equipment. Okay, in Jordan, nigga, you a part of the war. Okay, so all this, trying to be political and trying to get out of, ain't no getting out of. You in the middle of it, man. All right, you getting involved. Oh, you getting involved. Okay, so now, because even when it was strikes going back and forth, even in the 12-day war, all right, and the certain strikes that went back and forth between Iran and the small hats, it was Jordan that was helping the small hats shoot down Iranian drones and missiles, man. Okay, it was one strike a few years ago, and Iran just sent a bunch of drones just to see where all these air defense systems was at, and a lot of it came out of Jordan. So now, nigga, you involved, okay? And this is just the beginning. Because y'all gotta get cleared out of there anyway. All right.
Many signatories argue the country is paying an economic price for a conflict it never chose. Jordan's government, however, maintains a different position. Officials describe the American military presence as a cooperative security partnership under the 2020 Defense Agreement, rather than permanent U.S. bases. The assistance.
Yeah, so you took the money. Nigga, you involved. Okay? You see this, I guess this Jordan on the way he is, but you see, all right, nigga, you want to be an Edomite. If there's not an Edomite, because they put a lot of these terrorists, in leadership in a lot of these nations, man. Okay? But you just see the spirit amongst these heathens. It was once a luxury to have alliance with America. Okay, because you was under the umbrella of America's reputation. Okay, and you will get aid in certain deals. Okay, but now, okay, having hosting American military makes you a part of this war now. All right, and you don't have no say so in it. Okay.
Making Washington one of Jordan's most important strategic partners. But Jordan is not the only country facing this dilemma. Across the Middle East, recent Iranian missile and drone attacks have exposed the vulnerability of American military installations. The conflict has sparked fresh debate over whether hosting U.S. forces provides security or instead makes countries direct targets during regional crises. Iran, meanwhile, has used these attacks to demonstrate that it can pressure American allies across the region. While many Arab governments continue to view Iran as a major security threat, public opinion in countries like Jordan has become increasingly critical of foreign military involvement and deeply opposed to being pulled into another regional war. The growing debate inside Jordan now raises a much bigger question. In an increasingly volatile Middle East, are American military bases still a strategic shield for partner nations, or are they becoming a growing liability?
Nigga, it's a liability. Then you gotta figure that out. Is it a shield? No. What is it blocking? Okay, it's a liability, man. You see, and it's just the beginning. Okay, so I got one more I want to play because, like I said, we're seeing the power shift. Okay, so America was looked at, because one of the duties of empire, well, you got to protect the people that you overlord. Okay, so let's play this. And America's not being able to fulfill its role as an empire. Okay, it can't protect the shipping lanes. Okay, it can't guarantee, shipping. And Strait of Hormuz shows that it can't protect its allies. Okay, it can't protect the goddamn self, man. You see? So let's play this.
As you know, we're locked and loaded. We're locked and loaded and ready to go, but we're talking to them, so.
This is the reality of the Iran conflict right now. Publicly, there is talk of negotiations. Behind the scenes, missiles continue to fly and military threats continue to escalate. With each passing day, the exchange of strikes is intensifying, casualties are mounting, and the crisis is expanding far beyond Iran and Israel. Now, an unexpected player is being drawn into the equation. As Iran keeps pressure on the Strait of Hormuz and the Red Sea, Gulf Arab states are increasingly looking to China, not Washington, to use its influence over Tehran and help prevent the conflict from spiraling into a much wider regional war. According to a Reuters report, Gulf governments have quietly approached China, urging it to use its economic leverage over Tehran to help keep key shipping lanes open. The move reflects growing concern that a prolonged conflict could cripple energy exports and destabilize the wider Gulf. Since the latest round of fighting began with U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran on February 28th, regional governments say they have found themselves increasingly caught in the middle. Iran and its regional allies have repeatedly signaled they could disrupt traffic through the Strait of Hormuz and the Bab el-Mandeb waterway in the Red Sea, two of the world's most strategic maritime choke points. While Tehran insists it remains in control of Hormuz, Gulf states fear that any sustained disruption would hit global oil markets and regional economies. Reuters reports that Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has held dozens of calls and meetings with counterparts across the region, while Beijing Special Envoy Jai Jun has traveled to Gulf capitals as well as Iran in an effort to promote a ceasefire. China's foreign ministry says it has maintained close communication with all parties and has consistently worked to stop the fighting and promote peace. China occupies a unique position. It is the largest buyer of Gulf energy exports and also Iran's biggest trading partner. That relationship has led many Gulf governments to believe Beijing may hold more influence over Tehran than any other major power. One Gulf source told Reuters that discussions with China are taking place quietly because of the deep trade relationship between both sides. But questions remain over how far China is willing or even able to push Iran. Despite its growing diplomatic engagement, Beijing has avoided publicly criticizing Tehran's threats against regional shipping. Another Gulf source told Reuters that while China is trying to play a larger role, it has not proven as influential as many had expected. According to the source, once the United States became directly involved, wider great power rivalry began shaping Beijing's calculations. China is pursuing diplomacy on several fronts. Reuters reports that Beijing is encouraging Pakistan to mediate between Washington and Tehran in an effort to restart negotiations. At the same time, sources told Reuters that Chinese officials have held direct discussions with Yemeni Houthi movement to ensure Chinese-linked shipping can continue passing through the southern Red Sea safely. China has not publicly commented on those reported talks. Analysts say Beijing's main objective is balancing relations with every side involved, rather than openly taking sides.
Yeah, and basically China is helping Iran, man. Okay, because so you see these Gulf nations, these GCC nations, they know America is finished. Ain't no sense of talking to America. They looking like, well, look, they going to China, they going to Russia. They like, look, get these niggas off us, man. You see, hey, look, get these niggas, hey, get your mans. You see, but nah, man, because Russia and China know that America was making a play at them with this Iran. Okay, so. But it just show you that these nations don't look to America for power anymore, man. Okay, there was a time, if you just had an American base on your soil, you was good, you was covered, you was under that reputation of the mighty American military. But now, okay, as America has been exposed of being overextended, you see. These nations are beginning to look at alternative ways. So they're looking at China. So it's a power shift. Okay, the fact that they're begging China to get, to pull, to pull at the collar of Iran, man. Okay, but now, man, the Lord at work. Okay, and guess what? China getting all their ships. China getting their ships through the Red Sea, and China getting their ships through the Strait of Hormuz. China ain't tripping. You niggas can't move no product because you tied with the West. China getting all their ships. You see? Y'all niggas ain't getting nothing because y'all deal with the small hats in America. Y'all tied with them. That's why ain't nothing moving for y'all. Okay? So they're not the Strait closed or the Red Sea closed. No, it ain't closed, it's just controlled. Okay? And it's controlled by the East. Okay, ain't nothing moving to the West. You see, and anybody that's affiliated with the small hats in America, man. All right, so let's see, brothers got precepts, and if a brother can post that in what's that? Okay, in verse 15, yeah, Revelation chapter 11, verse 14 and 15. Yeah, I think the brother has some I want to get to. Yep. So this is the brother GMSDC Tazadak Dayara 144K. That's Proverbs 30 and 21. It says, for 3 things the earth is disquieted, and for 4 which it cannot bear. For a servant when he reigneth, and Esau was a servant that reigned. He's not built for rulership. And what we're seeing is all his chaos that he stirred up within his rulership is coming back at one time, and he's overwhelmed. Okay, it says, in a fool when he is filled with meat. You see? So this devil, he's enriched himself in his rulership, but when it comes to the affairs of his kingdom, it's all out of order. Okay, he's enriched himself with his power. But when it comes to actually establishing order in his kingdom, he hasn't done it. And now it's just all collapsing at one time. Okay? And it's just going to lead to this power vacuum that Yahweh Shai is going to come and fill. Okay. Oh, brother already had that. Brother already had that. You know, here you go. So like it, bro. This is the brother GMS DC times Doc Yaraha 144K, Revelation 11 and 14. The second woe was past, the second world's woe, and behold, the third woe coming quickly, man. Things are happening quickly. Okay, more nations are happening to get involved and drug into this, man. Okay, and the Lord is forcing to where these nations can't sit on the sideline. Okay, because these nations need their oil for their, you know, to survive. And this is how their industrial, okay, industry survive. This is how their society functions with this oil, man. Okay, and then the Lord got them to where they got to fight. You see, and the elites in their mind, you know, they're gonna sit back and because of what happens during the war, the elites began to shift towards whatever side winning. They've done this before. They put the British against the French against the Russians. And, you know, this is what they do. Okay, and they fight it out, and once they start to see a certain side winning, they start to lean with it because the elites funded the Germans in World War II, and they funded America and the British, man. And once, you know, they seen that America and the British and Russia was getting up, they started to make these deals with, okay, these Western nations, man. You know, and Russia got excluded out, which, you know, that's some more history. But just to show you that, you know, this third war is coming quickly, man. You see? And it says, this is Revelation 11:15. It says, and the seven angels sounded, and there was great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his anointed. Okay. And he shall reign forever and ever. Okay. And this is what's going to fill this power vacuum. Is going to be Yahweh Shai. Okay. All the kingdoms of the world. Okay. Yahweh Shai is going to come absorb all that authority. You know, and that's why he's promised to give us, if we endure, what power over the nation, because he's coming to take all the power. You see, Yahweh Shai is coming to take all the power, man. Okay, so yeah, we'll leave it there. You know, so Lord will, you know, you brothers, all right, and you few sisters edified once again. We're gonna give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Makakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessing, salutation to the hopeful and Shalom.